Welcome back to the program. Before all the chaos surrounding the announcement of results by the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, regional and continental observer missions gave their preliminary reports on the conduct of the polls. They commended the Zimbabwe ZEC but condemned the violence that erupted on August 1st. The electoral observers from Africa, the African Union Electoral Observation Mission, the SADC Electoral Observation Mission, the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Electoral Observation Mission, and the SADC Parliamentary Forum Electoral Observation Mission, and the Electoral Commission's Forum of SADC Countries Electoral Observation Mission held a press conference to release preliminary statement on Monday's election. They said, by all standards, the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission had heeded to advice given ahead of the polls, describing the process as widely free and fair.
In line with the ZEC mandate, the CEOM notes that the ZEC has made a number of positive improvements to the management of the elections, which includes the following: introduction of a biometric voter registration system on 14 September 2017 through Statutory Instrument 109 of 2017, following the disagreements between contesting political parties in 2013 over transparency and management of the voters' roll.
The elections took place in a generally peaceful and calm environment, with no more incidents of violence and restrictions on the activities of political parties and candidates observed. The process was highly competitive, as evidenced by the high number of presidential, National Assembly, and local government candidates. As an indication of the marked improvement in the political space, the AU Election Observation Mission notes a very low threshold requirement for registration of political parties and candidates to contest the election.
But they also gave recommendations for future elections.
The public broadcaster and the state-owned newspapers were in favor of one political party, contrary to the relevant provisions of the Constitution. The electoral and the revised SADC principle and guideline govern democratic elections, which require state-owned media to be impartial.
We wish to urge the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, ZEC, to manage the remainder aspects of the electoral process in a transparent and a speedy manner in accordance with the law. We also urge other stakeholders, particularly political party leaders and their supporters, to continue to maintain peace and refrain from acts that might undermine the integrity of the process or threaten peace and the stability of the country.
For other international observers, such as the European Union, the polls were riddled with many problems, including media bias, voter intimidation, and mistrust in the Electoral Commission, something many Zimbabweans, fearing for their lives, confirmed to us off camera.
There was some bad organization, but that I think was not a general pattern. That we see that the printing of ballot sheets, the control of the voters' roll, and all these questions, and also the question that was no level playing field in the media question, where the state media gave only the ruling party the real access, and some other such questions, which might have played a role of impact on the election result.
Observers from the Association for Free Research and International Cooperation, AFRIC, gave blunt remarks on what they saw at the polls.
There were some polling stations that we went to, and we were either the first observers, first foreign observers, or at times the only observers that have arrived at the time. And it showed in the frustration where people would say that, nobody has been here. And I guess it would make sense because it's in spaces that are outskirts and that are not as urban as Harare, which is, I think, is not a thing that is unique to Zimbabwe. Where in spaces that are more rural, we need a lot more people there so that you have a fair representation of what's happening in the country, not only in the capital cities. And that's my personal observation.
I saw many, many holes that we've been going through to reach this level. The biggest one is, for example, the counting process. Counting process itself taking into 4 or 5 p.m. now, and we still don't have an answer. So that means the counting process itself needs to be improved. And I would be very happy to cooperate with Africa for suggestions and improvement of the new system. In Mongolia, it will take us only 2 minutes to get the whole results because we use all those technologies and we prepare all those many, we try to cover all these holes in the system.
When violence began erupting on Wednesday afternoon, international observers released a joint statement condemning it. They said that while recognizing the right to peaceful protest, they condemned the vandalism and destruction of property, calling on political party supporters to abide by the law. They also denounced the excessive use of force to curtail protests and called on the police and army to exercise restraint. They then called on the leadership of political parties and their supporters, particularly the two main parties, the ZANU-PF and the MDC Alliance, civil society, faith-based organizations and other stakeholders and citizens to pursue grievances peacefully and through the established legal channels. As for the Commonwealth, which Mnangagwa had been hoping to rejoin, the army's use of deadly force to break up protests in Harare by the opposition supporters claiming the presidential election had been rigged by the ruling party was condemnable. Time to make a quick check on other discussions in diplomatic circles. Israel has set out limited goals for truce talks with Gaza, saying the focus is on a proposal to ease its closure on the Islamist Hamas-controlled territory in return for the Palestinians claiming their side of the frontier. The Israeli statement came hours before Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was due to convene his security cabinet to discuss and possibly approve UN and Egyptian brokered ideas for preventing another threatened Gaza war. Gaza, under years of grinding Israeli and Egyptian sanctions aimed at isolating Hamas, has seen a surge in tension since Palestinians launched weekly border protests on March 30, drawing Israeli army fire that has killed at least 157 people. The United States has denied being behind a drone blast on Saturday morning during a military event where Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was speaking. National Security Advisor John Bolton suggested the Maduro government could be behind the explosion, citing widespread corruption and oppression in Venezuela.
Well, I can say unequivocally there was no U.S. government involvement in this at all. Just within the past couple of hours, I've spoken with our charge in Caracas, the head diplomatic official down there. He and his staff were up much of the night making sure that Americans in Venezuela were safe. As of now, we think everybody noticed to the embassy is in a secure position. They're going to evaluate conditions today, but they focused on that principal responsibility and as of now feel pretty confident that Americans are accounted for.
Migrant rescue ship Aquarius, which returned to sea for a new mission in the southern Mediterranean on Wednesday, has decided it will carry out rescue operations without waiting for orders from Italian coast guards. The 77-meter vessel, operated by Franco-German charity SOS Mediterranee, set sail for Marseille on its 10th operation of the year, having already rescued about 3,000 people during 2018, many fleeing from the shores of Libya. Coordinator on Aquarius for SOS Mediterranee, Nick Romaniok, says his team will go and rescue people if they saw them in trouble at sea, as is required by maritime law. That's our time here on Diplomatic Channel. Be sure to join us again next time. I am Amarachi Ubani. Thanks for watching.